you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent. I'm Reverend Stephen, your minister. Thank you for joining us this morning as we gather virtually once again, a spiritual community that seeks to be diverse and inclusive as we inspire love, work for justice, and grow together in community. We extend a special welcome to our visitors. Thank you for worshiping with us this morning. It is also a pleasure to welcome our guest musician and service leader, Lea Morris, this morning. Welcome, Lea. Once again, welcome. Now, as we prepare for worship, let's take a moment to breathe together, to invite the very spirit of life and love to be present among us, and to let our imaginations soar and sing today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lea Morris, and I'm really honored and thrilled to be with you in the way that is available today. So I'd like to share a song that I wrote specifically to sing with my children who are 4 and 11. I also have a 21-year-old, but she is far less likely to sing along. And there are a couple of elements of the song that I'd like to invite you to participate in. The first is that it's a call and response. Actually, there are 3 elements. So there'll be the call and the response. I'd like you to also listen to the questions. And as they're flitting by and as we're asking them of each other, see if any answers pop into your mind. And then on the 3rd time around, we'll add some rhythm once we're really familiar with one another and with the song. Who can I be? What can I see in this great world? Who could be free? What will I build? And what will I find? The story begins inside my mind. Who can I be? Sing. Who can I be? And what can I see? What can I see in this great world? In this great world, who could be free? Who could be free? What will I build? What will I build? And what will I find? What will I find? My story begins inside my mind, inside my mind. Last time, who can I be? Who can I be? What can I see? What can I see in this great world? In this great world, who could be free? Who could be free? What will I build? What will I build? And what will I find? What will I find? My story begins. My story begins inside my mind. Inside my mind. In my imagination.
George Bernard Shaw said, "Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will." The whole of human history is built on imagination. We are here today, together virtually during a pandemic, because someone imagined building a platform on which people could meet with each other from across town and across the planet. The internet we use to access that platform and most of our entertainment these days Started out as smaller regional networks used by academics, scientists, and the military. As a child of the 1980s, I don't easily forget what it was like before we had this instant and convenient accessibility, when I had to sit at home if I was waiting for a phone call, or go to a record store if I wanted to buy the latest release from my favorite band. Ingenuity, bred from imagination, is what brought us multiple different vaccines that will eventually put an end to this pandemic. As I work in the medical industry, I'm constantly reminded of all the advances in medicine that have allowed us to defy fate in many situations. Heart-lung machines keep blood circulating and oxygenated in a patient undergoing heart surgery. Anesthesia and anesthesiologists who know how to use it allow surgeons to painlessly fix a person's body while they are unconscious. But imagination has not only advanced human civilization, it has shared its soul through music, poetry, literature, vision, and art. Today, we are going to use our powers of imagination to create a song together. What kind of vision for the future do we have for our church and our world? What is the soul of our community that you want the world to see, feel, and experience? As you think about these questions, I give you the words from another visionary, Amanda Gorman, from her beautiful poem, The Hill We Climb. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. Come, let us worship together.
We join Unitarian Universalists across the country in lighting a chalice, a sign of life's beauty and wonder, a symbol of peace and hope, an invitation to continue our ongoing search for the light of truth within us and among us, and a reminder that we are all interconnected in the great web of existence of which we are each a beloved part. Now, as I light our shared chalice, I invite you to light your home chalice. Would you join me in the chalice lighting words? May this flame open our eyes to awe and wonder. May this fire kindle our imaginations and our minds. May we see beauty in the world and in each other. May we know that a spark of the infinite glows in our hearts. May this light call us to live with love and reverence for life. In the spirit of universalism, where the joys and sorrows of who we really are and are becoming can be expressed and shared, we take time to call to mind the joys and sorrows that come with living, to hold one another in the spirit of care and compassion, to turn inward for a few moments to connect with the love that is the very heart of life itself, and to reflect on the mysteries of life. I invite you now to use the chat box to share your joys and concerns with each other. Renee Rahusky says, we are thrilled that our son Keegan proposed to his longtime girlfriend Maddie at Hocking Hills last weekend. Congratulations. Dave and Susanna ask thoughts and prayers for brother Jim, who has COVID. May he know peace and healing. M. Hardings, my brother Tim was in the hospital with COVID, but is home now and nearly recovered. May he continue to recover. Lori shares that she's praying for Uncle Tony, who has stage 4 cancer. May he know peace in these days. Right. Evian and Ray Lynn says, we just found out that Haley, our birth mom, died last July. We send our sympathy and care. May you know peace as you grieve her loss. And Benny says, the praying mantises who made their nest on our Christmas tree. Vivian Sandlin sends a welcome to CJ Cook, who is visiting this morning. We're glad to have you with us. Shell Bors shares that her 4-year-old cousin began cancer treatment a year ago and is still undergoing treatment, not doing very well right now. Could use healing thoughts and prayers. Let's send healing energy out. David Brown shares concern for Nancy, who is suffering with a kidney stone. Maybe she be pain-free and heal. Larry Cole remembers Bev. January 22nd, 2018. We hold you in our hearts as you remember her, Larry. Diana Watts shares that this week, my daughter Colleen and fiance Eric have COVID. May they both heal. Evian Rome shares that her oral surgery to remove 4 teeth went well. Glad to hear that. I hope you continue to heal. These are words adapted from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. It starts here in this moment. In this breath you feel rising in your chest, this beat building between us. The healing, the hunger, the hope, the courage, the calling, the commitment, the drawing out of a new day. It begins now in the imagination, in this story we weave together, this song we sing, this prayer we bring into being, from our hearts to our lips, from our hands to our life, our shared life. It starts here with praise and thanksgiving for the joys we know, gratitude for the struggles that teach us, and a promise that we make to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep our sense of humor, to imagine a world of peace, a world of justice, a world we can dream and create and sing and love into being. Every one of us will love it all, sharing the journey. It starts here, in this moment, in this breath. It begins now in the imagination. And so it is. And amen.
Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are.
Welcome to the Imaginarium, a place we create together, a room where anything is possible and the only limits are what we can imagine. Albert Einstein said in a 1929 interview, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution." As Unitarian Universalists, we embrace the idea that progress is not only possible, but desirable, and that the future holds so much promise of liberation, of freedom, of life abundant for all people. As a gathered community in the days and months to come, we'll be challenged to imagine how we're going to come back together in person and continue to make creative use of the technology that has kept us together during the pandemic. We'll continue to dream how our new building, Hobbs Hall, will not only serve our needs, but the needs of the greater community. We'll ask how we're going to deepen our work of racial justice and also make our community safer, more welcoming and inclusive for LGBTQ+ people, especially transgender people. We'll keep inspiring love, seeking justice, and growing in community. That's our mission. And we'll try new things together. This morning, our creative work together was inspired by our guest musician, Lea Morris, who is sharing her music with us and will lead us in a creative process of creating a song together. I have no idea what we're going to do, but this room, our Imaginarium, is a sacred space where anything is possible. Let's open our minds and hearts to possibility, to joy, and to wonder. Now, let's offer a heartfelt welcome to Lea and get started creating. Lea.
Hello, Reverend Stephen and Hal. Hello again to the amazing gathering of people who helped to put this service together. As I mentioned in the breakout room, you guys don't know the amount of work, or maybe you do know, and you appreciate the amount of work and effort and care and love that go into creating these services. And so I'm very grateful this morning to be part of it, to be part of your group. Thank you for the welcome in, for the hospitality. And I know we don't know a lot about each other. You know about my kids now, and you know that I write songs, but I'm going to get a little personal. And before I talk about myself, I'm going to ask you the question, even though I won't be able to hear your answers. I have some ideas about the answers. How has this past year been for you? What's your experience of this year, the last 365 days leading up to now? How has it been for you? I can speak for myself. Last March, I had the singular and unenviable experience of literally having a huge part of my identity canceled. Just like someone pushed a button and it was like, nope, sorry, you won't be singing in churches. You won't be teaching preschool. You won't be performing live. So that meant the part of the expression, part of my identity of an expressive musician, zoop, gone. My livelihood, as I understood it, whoop, gone. So much of who I thought I was literally from one moment to the next canceled. And so my first reaction, despite being a lifelong optimist, I went into a dark room, I laid down on the floor, and I just cried my eyes out. I just cried and cried and cried more than I can remember crying. Certainly not often, anyway. And just experienced the full grief of the death of part of myself, because that's literally what I experienced. Part of myself, what I understood of me, was no longer available as I was used to it. The next morning, I chose to get up and go for a walk in the morning. It's something that I do often. And I chose to continue to do that because it was something I could continue to do. And while I was walking, I asked myself, now is that internal me asked external me or vice versa? Hard to say. But I asked the questions. Okay, so this is the situation. Now what? What's next? What can I even imagine? What do I even want? And as I was engaging with those questions, an answer came. And it sounded like this. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground. And as I was walking, and as that song, that refrain kept going on a loop in my mind, there were other voices singing at the same time. Now it might sound a little troubling, but I will say that in addition to talking to myself, I'll admit that I do it. But I also grew up in a family of gospel singers, where harmonies and other voices were part of my formative experience. So hearing harmonies and hearing counter melodies was actually a very natural experience for me, even though I hadn't written that way in some time. And by the time I got back home, I had this idea that this song was more than just an answer for my specific question, but it was also an opportunity for me to share that perspective with anyone else who was asking themselves the same questions. Because I knew, like I guess about many of us on this call, that you were asking yourselves those same questions. What now? What next? What can I even imagine? And what do I want? I did not ask myself the question, what's possible? Or if I did, I quickly put it aside because I see that question as being limiting. What's possible suggests what's already been done. What do I already know? What are my neighbors doing? What's possible is all contained inside of a very neat box. And as our good friend Seal says, we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. Okay, he's not my friend, but I definitely take that advice. So what I was inspired to do was to record that song in a way I've never recorded before, to have multiple voices singing, but there to be a video of it that I would present on YouTube, on Facebook for any of my friends who would be interested in hearing what my inner being, my spirit guides were telling me. Keep your heart open. This is hard. This is weird. I have no idea where this is going, but I do know I can control whether or not I contract or expand in this time, whether I fear or whether I learn and grow. And so I enrolled myself in the University of YouTube, and I learned how to make these videos, these multiple voice videos. And I learned many, many, many other things. And I'm constantly learning, constantly asking questions, constantly asking those same questions. What's next? What do I want? And the gift has been not just the song, not just the learning how to create something new, but being invited to share in spaces that wouldn't have been available under other circumstances. So something was waiting beneath the soil of my grief to grow and to become. What I had to do was to be in the right consciousness, in the mindset to receive it, to allow it to grow through me and as me. I believe that young Amanda Gorman, who was quoted earlier in this service and who probably everybody has seen share her amazing poem, her inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb. I understand that on January 6th, when Georgia's political landscape shifted in a way that it never had in history, and when many, many of our fellow country persons stormed the Capitol building and tried to launch an insurrection, or they did launch an insurrection, thankfully an unsuccessful one, that young lady was faced with a whole new task. At first, she might have thought, well, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to read a poem and it's going to be inspiring, exciting because we have new leadership. And on that occasion, she must have asked herself, whoa, now what? What am I supposed to be writing here? What can I imagine? What do I even want to say? What do I want my fellow Americans to take away from my speech, from my poem, from my presence? And I believe that is the question that every one of us gets to ask ourselves every day. What now? What next? What can I imagine? What do I even want? And I'm just going to call out some visionaries who I believe constantly ask and have asked themselves these formative questions. Visionaries like Gene Roddenberry and J.J. Abrams. Visionaries like Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. Visionaries like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Visionaries like Kamala Harris and Greta Thunberg, all of whom have literally changed our world in ways that we could spend hours talking about their contributions just because they were willing to ask themselves, what can I imagine and what do I want? And then to act like what they imagined was possible, not like this is just this little sort of exercise in consciousness, but that I'm shifting my consciousness so I can shift my actions and act as if that world already exists. And I'm just propelling myself toward it because I know it's possible, because I imagined it. You know, in Genesis, it says we are created in the likeness and image of divinity, of God. And I do believe that creativity is our proof of that. the ability to go from no thing to something. So let's sit down right now with all that's available to us and ask ourselves the question, what now? And ask ourselves the question, what next? What can we imagine? What do we want? I would love for you to take this time to write your answer to those questions, any of those questions, any answer, into the chat. As general as you like, as specific as you like. And I'm going to engage and spend time with what you share. And I hope you'll do the same with one another's words and thoughts. And then we'll listen and see how the Spirit wants to sing it. So again, please share your answers to those questions in the chat. Thank you, Elaine. Peace. Please keep your feedback, all of your thoughts, all of your seeds, all of your seeds. Please keep them coming as they come to you. There can be healing for our nation. There can be healing for us all. Peace, hope, loving arms wide as we heed our call. There can be healing for our bodies, and there can be healing in this place. Truth, respect, loving arms felt in a warm embrace. I'm going to continue to work with this. Let's see. There can be healing for our nation. There can be healing for us all. Peace, hope, loving arms wide as we heed our call. There can be healing for our bodies. There can be healing in this place. Truth, respect, loving arms felt in a warm embrace. There can be healing for our nation. There can be peace. There can be healing for us all. There can be love, loving arms wide as we heed our call. There can be healing for our body. There can be healing in this place. There can be grace, loving arms felt in a warm embrace. There can be healing for our nation. Be healing for our nation. There can be healing for us. There can be healing for us. Peace, hope, loving arms wide as we heed our call. There can be healing for our body. There can be healing for our body. There can be healing in this. There can be healing in this. Truth, respect, loving arms felt in a warm embrace. There can be healing for our nation. Be healing for our nation. There can be healing for us. There can be peace, hope, loving arms wide as we heed our call. There can be healing for our body. There can be healing in this. There can be truth, respect, loving arms felt in a warm embrace. And there's surely so much more. So many very specific requests, so many very general concepts like truth and love and peace and hope. What do those mean to us? I think it's so important for us when we're in this Imaginarium, when we're in this creative space, to define what peace looks like, what love looks like. I got really, the engine started revving when there was all of this energy around hugs, right? About the importance of human touch and human presence and human kindness, human love. So as we're continuing to create from this moment into the next moment, into the following moment, let us always be specific and general and open and imaginative and full of faith. One of my favorite teachers says, you're always creating something. So you might as well be intentional about it. Every moment of our lives, we are creating something. Jenny Horvath, who I haven't met yet, but chose to sway a little bit while Hal and I were singing that song together, created joy in herself that echoed in me, just having the opportunity to see her vibing with the song. That's creative. That's creation. We're creating this moment together, and we always are. We're creating our country together. We're creating our global experience together every single moment. So please never, ever have the thought that you've left the Imaginarium, because you really can't. You're a divine being, and you're always creating. So we might as well be intentional about it. I'm going to sing our song one more time. And thank you all so much for your opportunity to be part of this intentionally creative moment. There can be healing for our nation, and there will be healing for us all. Peace, hope, loving arms wide as we heed this call. There will be healing for our bodies, and there will be healing in this place, with truth, respect, loving arms felt in a warm embrace, in a warm embrace.
want to give another shout out to Lea for an amazing, creative, beautiful process that drew us in, that helped us dream and imagine together. I had tears in my eyes from the sheer beauty of watching people create together and how you led us. Thank you so much for this amazing gift, the creativity, the joy, and the possibility you shared with us this morning. It was truly amazing. So, you demonstrated so beautifully too these words, from you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and truly from this we live. We help one another, we share with one another. We make a difference in the world because we give of our time, our money, and ourselves to this congregation and to organizations in Kent and beyond. This month, our religious education children and youth chose the Portage County NAACP. Its mission is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic rights of all people and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. Please be as generous as you can this month in supporting this agency. And because of your generosity, even in this time of COVID, we are strong, thriving as a community, and able to be together virtually for worship, for welcoming guests, artists who bring us new ways of looking at the world, for community, for shared ministry. Thank you so much. Now, in the spirit of gratitude for the gift of one another and this community and the abundance that makes our generosity possible, we give and receive the offering as a sign of our shared commitment to the life and work of this congregation and beyond.
At the start of any given day, there is mystery available. There's a game waiting for an open heart to say yes. Here I am, I'll play. If we're smart, we'll listen to the way, and all the misery that held us down, we'll let it fade. Let it be outshined by the simple spark of a life waiting to be made, waiting to be made. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? And what will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make? At the start of any given day, there is history and poetry. There is a play, but you're not in the audience. You are the star. So get out there and say what you will make. What will you make of this day? What will you keep and what will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make? This day, what will you keep and what will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make?
What a great question to carry out into the world as we bring our time to worship to its close. What will you make? Thank you, Lea. Now, to prepare to return to the world, would you join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. May we carry these in our hearts and minds until we are together again. Now I invite our closing song, Be the Light.
There is always a light when we are ready to see it. There is always a light when we are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill, together we will. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to see it. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to see it. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. To see the light, to be the light, to shine in the dark of night and be a climb this hill. Together we will. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. Be the light.
Once again, let's show our appreciation for our music guest this morning, Lea.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Reverend Stephen.
Thank you. I offer you these words of Michael Schuler. We have reached the end of this time for the gathering of memory and for letting the imagination play with future possibilities. We have enjoyed magic moments and shared with each other. Will it be concluded then? Or will this adventure now commenced continue? Our separate paths converging, meeting, merging in the unending quest for love more perfect, ever deeper gratitude, the joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient and life more abundant. Is this ending to be an ending or merely prelude to new, more glorious beginnings? I pose the question. In your hearts lies the answer. Now, grateful for the power of our imaginations and the magic moments we have shared with each other this morning and renewed in our vision for life more abundant, let us go forth in peace and hope to continue inspiring love, seeking justice, and growing in community. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
You've got a light inside you. Go on your way in peace. So shine that light, the light inside you. you go